Welcome back. It's Ed Martin here. We're with the 29th Phyllis Schlafly Collegians Summit, gathered all across the country, college students paying attention, working together. As I mentioned with our great quote, we have this quote from Patrick Henry's speech, the Give Me Liberty or Give Me Death speech from March of 1775. The quote we've been talking about, though, is the battle, sir, is not to the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Vigilant, active, brave. Our next guest is Bear Woznick, and Bear Woznick has a new book, Deep in the Wave, A Surfing Guide to the Soul. He has a book from a few years ago called Deep Adventure, The Way of Heroic Virtue. Two-time World Tandem Surfing Champion, and also is the host of The Long Ride Home with Bear Woznick, a motorcycle-based documentary that pursues spiritual growth. Bear, welcome to the Collegians Summit. We're talking to college students where they are and what's going on in their lives, so you're a great guy for this. So welcome. How are you?
I'm so glad. My senior year in college was the best 6 years of my life. So.
I don't think the parents of our collegians want to hear that, but okay.
But I should say the name of the book is A Surfer's Guide to the Soul.
Oh.
The title you have was an old title. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. A Surfer's Guide to the Soul. Okay, good. I did that to you. I did that to you another time. I'm sorry about that. I'm messing up now. Hey, Bear, I put out the word to some of our collegians in preparation for this, and one of the questions I got back, which is so basic and so smart and such a college thing to do, is said, what? This is a simple question. What's it like to be a world champion surfer?
Well, you know, the cool thing is that when you're a champion, you're always a champion, so they can't take that away from you. But what I did, my world titles are in tandem surfing, and that's where you lift a woman when you surf in very extreme lifts. And so it's a tremendous thing to see a man and a woman do that together. The man has to really inspire trust in the woman, and the woman has to be willing to take that leap, because when I want to lift her, she has to jump. So I give her the signal and then she leaps, and it's just an incredible experience of my displaying the beauty and power of that woman. Wow. And using my prowess and strength and skill to protect her.
Wow.
And
so it's not a random woman, like you pick your own woman out, right?
No, I shouldn't even say I won the world titles. My tandem surfing partners, they're the ones that got me those titles. Amazing how good you are when you have a great partner. But actually, I also fell in love with my wife on a tandem surfboard, and she competed with me. But when you compete for a world title, that's going to war.
Yeah.
So we just mostly go out. We'll compete for fun, and we go out and surf about once or twice a week. Tandem surfing in Hawaii.
All right, so Bear Woznick, you're an expert on manliness, and obviously if people are watching this, they know. But here's another question I got from one of the people that was looking at the Way of Heroic Virtue, and this student said, "Is masculinity toxic?"
I don't even use that word, masculinity.
No?
It's been co-opted.
Okay.
I just use manliness. Manliness. And manliness means you're a servant leader. It means you will the true good for the other through self-donation. That's the definition of love, is willing the true good through self-donation. It's living the 7 virtues, justice, fortitude, prudence. I forget one of the fourth cardinals, but then there's faith, hope, and love of the theological virtues. So it's a man who does habitually does the right thing and lays down his life for those God's called him to serve. That's what a man is. Look at the Ukraine. We know what a man is. We know what a woman is. Nothing defines it anymore. I'm Ukrainian. The men are going to the border, and they took their wives there with their children. The women are doing their kuliana, and the men go back and do their kuliana, and they fight. And there's different roles, complementary roles, and it kind of, that whole event there just shouts in the face of what's going on with gender confusion these days.
And that's what I was going to ask you. College students are living in a world where if it weren't for COVID, they would have had uninterrupted college experiences where they try to ask you what your pronouns are. And I mean, again, we can laugh about it.
I don't even know what a pronoun is, okay? I wasn't an English major.
All right, that's fair enough. But you get my point. I mean, the confusion, if you're 18 or 19, you think you got it all figured out. But you're watching a world that really is trying to spin you around 20 times and then tell you up is down and down is up.
I'll tell you that my thought is that there's a demonic agenda behind all of that, calling what's good evil, what is evil good. And we need men, especially men have become boys. And, you're born a male, but you got to become a man. And we see so many men, young men, other older men that are like boys. They don't ever nowadays. Honestly, with a woman being ready, if you go to bed with a woman before you're married, um, you know, men never grow up. They never have the kuleana. They never have to take responsibility for possibly having a child and with this woman and raising that child. So men have been allowed to be boys, and they're the biggest teasers in the world. The women come up to me all the time and say, "Tell the men we need them to be men. They won't take us out on dates, and if they do, they never get around to asking us to marry them."
Right.
And men say about women, "Oh, I took her out 3 times and we didn't have sex. She's the biggest tease." No, men, the boys today, the younger men, so many are like worse than high school girls. They're the biggest teasers of all because they lead a girl on, never make a commitment. And a real man stands for what he believes in. We need men like the men that are watching this show to make a stand to commitment to a life of virtue, and especially if there's a woman in your life, a commitment, a devotion to her and to the children.
Bear Woznick is our guest, at Bear Woznick on Twitter. The website, bearschoolofmanliness.com. And Bear, but for people that are watching, these are college students. The culture is meant to make, it's against the young men, right? It's against being manly.
But that's the whole thing, First of all, I'm no victim. I'm not going to accept the fact that the culture is doing this to me. But you know what? Swimming upstream is what it's all about. It's always been people of virtue have always had to go against the tide. And men, real men, want to challenge. They want to face that challenge. They just need someone to say to them, "It's okay. Don't excuse the fact that you're a man." I don't mean machoism. That's horrible. But a real man who's willing to lay down his life and make a stand for what he believes in, especially if he'll make a stand with a woman. And said, when I left my tandem partner, my wife asked me, "Why do you have so many scars on your back? Did you have surgery?" When she first met me, I go, "No. That's from when I take a woman out of a lift, or someone's dropping in on us, or if we're wiping out and I take her out, cradle her, and I jump off my board and I hold her to my chest, and my ankle's attached to the board, I get drug across that reef. I have stripes on my back. I have one right now, actually. So my job as a man is to protect and to provide, and not to be about me, to be all about them. And we need men like that today. And I believe the men that I find when I'm out and around, the young men, I see them wanting to rise up to that.
By the way, I got a text from one of our viewers. What is kuleana? You better explain that.
I have to apologize for my lighting. We had a big, huge 100-mile thunderstorm here, and everything's out around me. I'm here speaking in Fort Wayne. Kuleana this is a good question. Because kuleana in Hawaiian is more than to say it's my stewardship or my responsibility. To have a kuleana is to say, this is me, I own this, it's my possession. Like if I work side by side with someone, their job is to clear the dishes, and my job is to do this, and I want to go help him and clear the dishes for him, he'll say, "Brah, it's my kuleana, brah." I mean, you could ask me, but don't take my responsibility from me. And so I remember Pope John Paul II, the very first thing he wrote about, the very first book and play that he wrote was love and responsibility. They go hand in hand. Real love and responsibility, they go hand in hand. So it's more than responsibility. It's more than stewardship. It's something that you own and cherish is your kuleana, your responsibility.
So Bear, is what's needed now in your career, as well as this arc of your now you do this documentary, you're doing this these books, you do a radio show, but I'm interested in the School of Manliness. Is there a the community colleges right now? If you go to a community college, St. Louis Community College is the one I can remember, and you open it up, the first 20 pages are all remedial courses that you should have done in high school, and these poor kids that come out, they have to start again, learn to read, learn to do math and all. Are we at the point where we have remedial manliness that you have to?
Well, so many boys have been brought up by women who have been betrayed by men. So first of all, those men who have not had real good father figures, but every man, the School of Manliness is based on the Old Testament school of the prophets. I think of it as the cave of Adullam, where David went with all of his misfits, men that owed money, or they were in trouble with the law, or maybe their mother-in-law, whatever. They were misfits, and they gathered in this cave of Adullam, and they formed each other, and also God formed them into being the mighty men of valor. So it's just a place, deepadventure.com, where we have the School of Manliness. It's the 3-year curriculum. We go through it together. You know, there's video and audio and written, but it's just men form each other. So, you know, iron sharpens iron, and men need to be in the company. You know, in Hawaii, my wife's she's from Florida. She says in Hawaii, there's men here. And there's a company of men. The men are together. You know, the younger people all call me uncle. You know, and we uncle the younger, not just their dads, but we uncle them. And there's so many young men that could really use an uncle in their lives. And in a sense, the School of Manliness, you know, is kind of an effort to kind of reach out to that. But being a man is just making a decision that you're not the center of the universe, you know, and you're willing to lay down your life for someone else.
Okay, Bear, last sort of line of questions. Again, back to college kids. Where do you tell those college kids? I mean, we could all move to Hawaii and be near you, but I mean, where do you tell those college kids to find this kind of connection? Is it through the churches, back to the churches? I mean, we can wish that we'd have a two-family home, but a lot of people have split homes and all right? It's just the way where we are. So where do you point people towards?
I think they've got to pray. I think the churches, of course, is the first place. But I have some real cool uncles: Thomas Aquinas, Augustine, the great classic thinkers, the natural law, and understanding that, and seeing. You know, I'll tell you what. One of the great places to learn what a man is. My first editor of my first book, this book, A Surfing Guide to the Soul. This is the second printing of it. Was the man who was the editor for Louis L'Amour, the last editor for Louis L'Amour.
Wow.
Now, young men don't know who he was, but he wrote 100 incredible Westerns.
Yeah.
And our whole school has a cowboy theme. My next book is called Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? And if you read a Louis L'Amour Western, you're going to see men of virtue that live by a creed that protect. Usually there's a woman who may be powerful, but she's still in a vulnerable place. They're protecting the woman. They're good financial planners. They're prudent. You know, the only reason you need to be prudent is if you're going to be bold. If you're just going to sit on the couch, you don't need to be prudent. But men are always called to be bold, you know. And so there's just that's a great place right there, just to read some of the great Louis L'Amour Westerns, because they're all about men of virtue.
Well, maybe I did all right because my father gave me all those books too when I was a kid. So
really?
I've read all the Louis L'Amour. Yeah, Louis L'Amour. Anyway, all right, Bear Woznick at Bear Woznick on Twitter, BearSchoolOfManliness.com. And look up his books and watch him on TV, The Long Ride Home. Thank you, Bear, for the time and for all you're doing.
We love you, students, and we're counting on you.
That's right. On you. We need him. All right. Thank you, Bear.
Aloha.
Aloha. We're learning a lot of Hawaiian. I'm getting schooled. All right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got a lot more still on the Collegians Summit. And don't forget, like this, share it, pass it on to other folks, and especially go to PhyllisSchlafly.com to get tied into our Eagles community. We'll be right back.